Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Guys, you're not going to believe, literally just 2 seconds ago, I've been running around like a wild person, trying to get a load of stuff sorted, trying to get my little girl sorted because it's school tomorrow. Anyway, it was a bit of a nightmare, but I am on, we're ready, and we are ready to go. So just before we start, guys, obviously don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, share my stuff. It's really hot in here, guys. I think I'm thinking about going and turning the heating off. No, I'm going to go with it. Guys, I'm going to persevere in this room. It's absolutely boiling, and I'm going to do it for you guys because I know you guys have tuned in to watch me, and you would not appreciate me leaving the stream to go and turn the heating off. But it's one to remember for tomorrow. Anyway, like I was saying, guys, literally just had to run over to the door. My little girl couldn't get out of the studio, so she was saying, "Daddy, I can't get out the door." And literally the clock's ticking down for when I have to come on. So I was like, "Ah!" So I ran over, I've just pushed the door open. My little girl went out. She's getting her stuff ready for school in the morning. Everything is fine, or so it seems. So before we start, guys, what I want to do is I want to talk about something that's happened in Germany. Like in the last couple, when was it? I think it was yesterday. 8 children seriously hurt in an arson attack in Germany, in German city of Essen. A man has been arrested. After allegedly setting off 2 fires in the western Germany city that left 30 people injured, driving a van into 2 shops. Now, there's reports about his ethnicity online on X, but obviously we can't talk about them because if we talk about this, where this man was from, his background, it will put you in, it could potentially put you in jail. So what I will say is not that until it's out on the mainstream media, I guess we're not allowed to talk about it. But it's just highlighting this problem that we have in the West, all over the world at the moment. Just absolute wild things, one after the other, happening all the time. So I want to start by talking about this Labour sleaze and the whole Labour government at the moment. I genuinely don't think we're going to get to another election. I really don't. I don't see how long Labour can sustain, can sustain this just absolute catastrophe of, money scandals. It's just basically money scandal after money scandal. Now, you can rope in the money scandal with the, with the gifts because it kind of is money. And if you guys was on our stream yesterday, we talked about where a lot of this money was coming from and the links back to, the links back to Robert Maxwell. Who does Robert Maxwell associate with? So you see this global net. It's like a global net of sleaze and manipulation, and people have just lost trust. And everybody, people are fixated between politics at the moment about, we'll vote for them. Guys, it doesn't matter who you vote for. People are saying that, reform, if, we're going to vote for reform. Guys, I was going to stand as a candidate for reform. I resigned because I saw what was happening. And, if reform had have got more traction, had have got more people standing, then you would have seen a lot more problems in reform because they've got a lot of. And it has to happen that way, guys, because when an organization like Reform, a grassroots organization, when they're starting, they just want anybody to fill their ranks. And there are a lot of people in their ranks that shouldn't have been there, that weren't vetted, that they were just putting bums on seats to push out to field candidates, And I said, listen, guys, I'm good. I'm going to resign. I don't want to be part of this organization as it stands at the moment. And what I think you're going to find is more and more people coming out and doing that as the time gets further to the next election. So let's quickly talk about how all politicians and the political class in the United Kingdom, and I would say in the United States as well, It's all absolutely, it's not the people, it's the system that's corrupt. And we don't understand it, that, and a lot of people think that if you vote, it actually matters. And I can remember watching a Russell Brand, one of Russell Brand's videos, and he's saying like, what are you voting for? It's absolutely pointless. Or, in his Russell Brand voice. And I can remember being in the military at the time and thinking, no, what an idiot. Of course it makes sense who you vote for. Of course, your vote counts. And, the more I understand how the system works, he was right that your votes, it doesn't matter who you vote, because the candidate who's put in that place, the candidate has to be loyal to the party. Otherwise, they get kicked out. Now, what's happening in the Labour Party at the moment is just a perfect example of a socialist takeover. So you've got a system now where, for example, you get voted in the United Kingdom. We vote for a local MP, and that local MP is supposed to represent us in Parliament. But if they speak their mind and they vote against the party, they get removed from the party. So what does it even mean to be an MP? We don't vote for MPs anymore. We literally vote for parties. And it's absolutely insane. And I really don't see it. Honestly, guys, I see that we're heading for absolute global conflict. And I was just talking to my friend actually earlier on, who's in Ukraine. And he was talking about this. He's talking about how the Russian economy now is set up. Oh, guys, hang on. Guys, I am going to have to... Guys, I'll be 2 seconds. That may or may not have been a creeper crawly on the wall. Anyway, so he was talking about how the Russian, and he looks into things a lot deeper than I do. He's native Ukrainian. He speaks Russian, he speaks Ukrainian, he speaks German, obviously English, and he reads a lot of articles in Russian, and a lot of Russian economists are now saying that the Russian people are better off because of this war. The Russian people have more money in their pockets because of this war. There's money going to the military-industrial complex. There's money going to, manufacturing, money going to procurement, and there's lots of stuff that's been used for this war effort. So all this stuff's getting pushed out. And then when we think that, and he's talking about the calculations, Russia can sustain this battle indefinitely. They're not losing enough people for it to matter, it's the more I think about it, the more I think the Russians, guys, and I'm not pro-Russian at all, but here in the West, we've spent so much time, money, effort, resources on producing the best. We forgot how to win. See, and this is going to sound weird, guys, and I'm going. This is off the cuff. We've built the best military, but it can't win a war. No, that's not right. We've built the best. We've built the best military, but we forgot how to win a war. Yeah, we've built the best. We have the best military, but not one that can win a war, or something like that. Put it on a t-shirt or something. So what I mean by that is, we've got the best tanks, the best missiles, the best aircraft, by far the best trained soldiers with the best equipment. But what does it matter if they can't be replaced in time? If the recruits that are coming through can't be trained? And if you want to go one bigger than that, if the children can't come of age to be pushed forwards quick enough, because that's how the Russians have set themselves up. The Russians have set themselves up in such a way by they don't need to train their soldiers. That's not how they, that's not how they fight wars. They have conscripts. They push the conscripts forwards as cannon fodder, and that is how they do war. And they've got the human resources and the sheer mass of people, the massive industry to keep this war going. And we was talking as well about, both sides here totally understand that if Russia loses, it's going to be the end to Russia as we know it. The Russian Federation, it will be balkanized. I mean, guys, there's parts of Russia that don't identify as Russia. There's parts in the Far East that are ethnic Chinese. There's Siberia who identify as their own people. So all these regions, if Russia lost, would be balkanized. They want independence, and I've said it many times before, you would see Russia reduced to places like St. Petersburg, Moscow, and maybe some northern regions or something. Equally, on the other side, if the West lose, if NATO lose, if Ukraine loses, then that's an end to the US dollar, that's an end to the European Union, it's an end to the Western dominance over the world. So, it's just absolutely catastrophic at the moment, the way we are heading. Now, you put that as add that a Brucey bonus of the state that the United Kingdom at the moment, we are heading towards a civil war. We really are. I don't see the Labour Party I don't see them making it to another election the way things are going. But let's not forget, guys, the Tories are just as bad. Can you remember when the election was called and all of a sudden you had these, the latest one to come out is, what's his name? Former Oliver Dowden has become the most senior ally of Rishi Sunak to be interviewed in the official investigation into betting on the date of a general election. So remember what I always say on this channel, guys, if you know something's going to happen, why wouldn't you make money on it? So if these guys know when the election is, why wouldn't they make money on it? If they know that Rishi Sunak's going to call the election next Saturday for 2 weeks' time and it's going to be on the 4th of whatever, why wouldn't you make money on that? Now, let's upscale that. If you're in government and you know there's going to be a mass invasion of a country, if you know the stock market's going to tank, if you know shares in Lockheed Martin, shares in Boeing, shares in Raytheon, shares in a random company that sells little microchips that are critical for the war effort, why wouldn't you make a ton of money out of that? Guys, this is what happens, and it's industry standard. It's supposed to be illegal, but it happens, it happens more than you would think. Absolutely insane. Anyway, so I'm gonna go on a little monologue here, guys, and I'm gonna talk about the Labour Party. Guys, I'm just conscious the comments are racking up. Guys, I'm going to talk. In fact, let me have a look at the comments quickly to make sure nobody's complaining about this sound. Guys, what is the sound like? Right, okay. Yeah, guys, it is raining it's raining here really heavily. I've got a tin roof on this. I've got a tin roof on this extension, so it's really rattling down here. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Anyway. So I'm going to go on a little monologue here, guys, and I'm just going to push through the latest of some of the latest things that have come out about the Labour Party. And if you think we can continue another 5 years of this intensity, we all knew the Labour Party were going to be bad, but wow, did we realise they were going to be this bad? So just to start then, guys, the release of the prisoners. So this release of prisoners, it's been from day one, it's been an absolute catastrophic failure. I mean, you've had the criminal gangs popping champagne outside. I mean, I can't remember. I bet, guys, I may be making this up now. I can't remember that, or I may be just imagining it. Did we see signs of no? I think I'm getting two articles mistaken. But can you remember how there was the criminals released from prison and then outside, they get outside and they're popping champagne? It's absolutely insane. While at the same time, people who wrote things on Facebook, on social media are getting sent to jail. This is, you want to know what socialism looks like, guys. Wait till I finish these few articles about Labour. But then we're gonna come on to the war stuff, and we're gonna come on to the prepping list that the government talked about and how that affects us, because it seems like we've all forgotten about the prepping list that the government just all of a sudden decided that everyone in the United Kingdom needs an emergency preparedness kit. So there was 37 prisoners that were released by mistake. So when the government were, releasing all these prisoners, they were naming people. I don't know how they did this, but apparently there were 37 that got released by mistake. I don't even know how this happens. Something inside of me is telling me that this is just a sick joke. This is off the back now as well of the demoralization of our police force by, we've had a lot of police officers handing their firearms certification in. We've had a lot of police officers handing their taser certification in. So, they're basically saying, look, we don't want to use these weapons anymore. We're good. We don't want to use these weapons. We don't want to do what we're told to do. We don't want to do what we're trained to do. We don't want to do what you guys are telling us to do. And then when we do it, you guys throw us under the bus. So we're good, thank you. So that's been happening. Then you've got this, this absolute disgrace, in my opinion. In fact, you know what, guys? It is a disgrace. I don't care. You've got this disgrace now that police officers are not allowed to wear a union flag with a thin blue line in it. That's kind of like soldiers wearing the poppy, because that's in remembrance of police officers who've lost their lives in duty. And the police have said now, no, you can't wear that badge. You can't. British police are not allowed to wear a union flag patch with a thin blue line on it to commemorate dead officers. That's the reality of Britain now, guys. We're seeing the demoralization of the police, and it's only a matter of time, guys, before, like the Roman Empire, the government have to. In fact, I was looking. I'll do it after these guys in a minute. Actually, I'll do it on my phone and I'll read it to you. I was, the Roman Empire. One of the reasons the Roman Empire fell is because they started to use foreign mercenaries to fight their war, and they are just they're not loyal. They will change sides, they will do what they want. That's kind of comes with the business. But the Roman Empire didn't have any choice, and that's what you find through history. And it seems to me we're moving towards a point in the United Kingdom where we may have to have non-British nationals, in our police force. And then who are they going to work for? Are they going to work for the police? Are they going to work for the people, representing the people? Or are they going to be representing and be a hand of the government? Remember, the only thing that the government have is the monopoly on violence. They don't make any money. We elect them. So, technically they don't have any power. All they have is the monopoly on violence for 4 or 5 years once they've been elected. It's absolutely insane. What else have we got? We've got the top Labour MP resigning now. So we've got this Rosie Duffield quit the party over the freebies, the freebies scandal. So you've now got, Labour MPs resigning over this scandal. They're thinking, right, Labour, and I think this is only the tip of the iceberg of what she actually knows. I'd say she actually knows a lot more. She knows what's coming, and she's like, listen, like I did with reform, she's just like, listen, I do not want to be part of this shit show, because quite frankly, I've got more self-respect for myself, which is what I think she's thought as well to herself. Now, I'm going to share this one with you guys, because this is actual socialism, and they're not even hiding it anymore. They're not hiding socialism, which is going to lead to communism, which is going to lead to all of us in the gulag. So look at this. The state will take back control of people's lives. They're not even hiding it. Just read that again. The state will take back control of people's lives. Well, how about I keep control of my life? Thank you very much, Kia. I am more than capable to take control of my own life. But this is what they want you to do. They want everybody to be reliant on the state. And that just proves it, that's the direction that the Labour government are pushing. They're wanting everybody to be dependent on the state, because once you're dependent on the state, they can make you do what you want. Once you've got universal basic income, once you've got, your government built house, it's literally a move to socialism, a move to communism. And guys, communism, socialism, it's never worked out well in the past. So why do we think it's going to work again? And then we've got another wild article. And I did put them in this order because they do get wilder, believe it or not. So there's there's this one. So remember how it came out that this woman, Sue Gray, she's as I understand it, she's a civil servant. She's an ex-civil servant. She now works for Keir Starmer, and it came out that her salary is higher than the Prime Minister's. How can that even work out? How is that even a thing? The top job, the Prime Minister, somebody who works for him gets paid more than him? How is this even a thing? Anyway, Keir Starmer's come out and he said that her salary is not up for public debate. So this is our money. Remember, we pay them. Our taxes going to, I don't know, an account or something somewhere, and then that gets divvied up by the politicians. They go and get the free heating and the free suits and the free rest of it. But essentially, that is our money. Now, the sheer contempt, I can't think of another word for it, guys, the contempt of Keir Starmer to come out and actually say that, well, I will share it, guys. So the sheer contempt of Keir Starmer to come out and say that her salary isn't up for public debate. It's absolutely absurd. There it is, guys. Sue Gray's taxpayer-funded salary should not be a topic for public debate, Sir Keir Starmer has claimed. So what can we debate? If we can't debate what MPs get paid, what can we debate? Because that's kind of the old, that is the whole thing of democracy. We vote, we pay taxes, you do as we say. If we don't, essentially, if there was a movement to defund politics, and it would be a terrible thing. But if there was a movement to defund politics and say everybody is now all politicians are not going to get paid, you're going to have to do it off your own back. It'd be a catastrophe, guys. It really would. You'd only get independently wealthy people doing it. The country would just go downhill. And I actually think politicians should guys, honestly, I think politicians should get paid more, but I think they should get paid differently. Not more, sorry. I'll rephrase that. I think politicians should get paid differently. I don't think that they should be able to get elected, say, cheers, guys, I'll see you in 5 years, and I'll in 4 years when the next election's up. I do think politicians' pay should be structured differently, so they have the opportunity that if they work hard at their role and they do well for their constituents, they should get paid more. I think there should be a financial incentive there for the politicians to work harder, which is just not there. But anyway, for Keir Starmer, the absolute contempt of him to come out and say, it's not up for public discussion. Honestly, who does he think he is? He's he works for us, and they just forget it. And the further we go on, I really don't think that we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see another election, especially not another election as we know them. As they are now. And then we've got this other guy. So I don't want to be unfair to the Conservatives. We've got this other guy. What's his name? Is it Robert Jenrick or something? He's one of the guys he's running for office in the Conservative Party. I'll just read this off here, guys. This is from Sky News. Records show Robert Jenrick accepted £75,000 in donations from a fitness company with no history of profits and no employees. Does that sound legit to you? Or does that sound like a money laundering scam? I'm only speculating, guys. I've got no information on this other than what's on Sky News. But £75,000 in donations from a fitness company with no history of profits and no employees. What even is that? Is it just one guy? One guy doing an online show, but he never makes any money and he's in a total loss, but he just manages to give 75 grand away to Robert Jenrick for reasons. I'm going to do more digging into that, guys. I am going to try and find out what that company is. I'm going to try and find out the background to that because it's absolutely absurd. So you see now that we're all sat at home, struggling to put our heating on, struggling to put food on the table, wondering what's going to be happening at school, what's going to be the next tax that we're going to get hit with, what's going to be the next social cut. And then we've got people accepting these vast amounts of money. And again, vast amounts of money is relative. I don't know Robert Jenrick's background. I don't know if he's independently wealthy. I will find out for you. But what I can say that £75,000 to some people will be a lot of money. And the fact that this is given to him in such a, again, there may be some absolute legitimate way that this has happened. I don't know. I'm only speculating. And I can only tell you what it looks like from Sky News. But to give £75,000 from a company with no employees and never making a profit, I'm like, what is that? I don't get it. Again, it could be something. It could be a tax dodge. It could be a loophole. It could be his own company. It could be his wife's company. And again, I'm just speculating. It could be, and thinking out loud, it could be his wife's company and she's made £75,000, but she decided to give that in a donation because she doesn't have to pay. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I will find out what it is, because on the face of it, it just sounds absolutely disgusting when, everybody in the United Kingdom's struggling, the world's struggling. We're looking like we're going to be in a conflict anytime soon. If the conflict's not going to get us, it's going to be a civil war. If it's not going to be a civil war, it's going to be this global warming or whatever. But with global warming, what I always tell people, right, global warming, is it? Why are the polar caps on Mars melting as well? Just somebody explain that to me. Why the polar caps on Mars are melting? If we're supposed, how much tax money will it cost to cool down the sun? Literally, how much tax money will it cost to cool down the sun? I genuinely don't know. I'm sure Keir Starmer and David Lammy, they know the exact amount of money they need to tax us with before the sun cools down. But, I just like to know what that amount of money is. Anyway, guys, right, we're going to go on to this. Right, guys, let's do some. Oh, this is an interesting one. The remote viewers for the CIA see nothing past 2034. Never mind the next 40 years. Yeah. So the what was it? The thumbnail for this video was war for the next 40 years. Now, I did that because it was one of you guys put a question in one of the comments on one of my other videos, and the question was, how long will it have to be before Iran? How long would it take to take Iran, or something like that? And what a lot of military don't understand this. You have to stop thinking about combat, and you have to start thinking economics. You have to start thinking about social engineering, which is what the Russians do brilliantly. You've got to socially engineer that country to not want to fight you. So, and this normally takes about 40 years. So if you look at the absolute catastrophes in Iraq and Afghanistan, the soldiers weren't there long enough. The military weren't in control long enough for that. There's another way to do it as well. There's the way that Genghis Khan did it, but I think that's pretty distasteful. But you have to go into a country, Iran, for example, when the United States invades Iran, what you're going to see, for them to be able to contain that situation, they're going to need to be there for 40 years. Because then you'll get those kids at the beginning of the invasion who were like 5 years old, no older, at 5 years old at the oldest. Those guys will now be 45, and those guys will be the ones in the positions of power. Those guys will be the ones in the positions of authority. And if those guys have grown up only ever knowing, Western democracy, liberal Western democracy, this is how it's supposed to work anyway. That's the way that they're going to continue. If they've always known, these Western soldiers being nice to you, these soldiers giving you sweets, helping you, always being there to do things right, always having the moral high ground. If that's all they've ever known, then they will grow up like that. The problem is when you leave after about 10 years, because all you do if you leave a conflict after about 10 years, you just make people angry. You just make people a lot angry. a lot angrier, because those people who were, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, what they'll witness a lot of propaganda, they'll witness a lot of fighting, they'll witness a lot of bad stuff happening, and they'll remember that and they'll take that through with them. I think the best example of this is Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin was a very impressionable boy at the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And guys, just look how he's turned out. So, and again, so I was talking to my friend as well, and he gave me a very interesting perspective actually on Vladimir Putin. He said, and you know, this is a conversation between friends, so I'm going to try and cut a lot out of it that's not necessary. So he said that the other option to Vladimir Putin being an evil man is that Vladimir Putin is not an evil man, and he's a product of the Russian peoples, and it's the Russian peoples that are actually, you know, that are actually wild and bad, and they're the evil ones, and it just happens that Vladimir Putin's come out on top, and he's trying to contain them. Which, you know, I don't know how you guys feel, but it's a really interesting perspective and an alternative, just an alternative thought process, because the media seems to be, you know, fixated on one, always on one narrative. No matter what media channel you look at, they're always going the same narrative, the same keywords, the same buzz phrases, and it's just insane. That's how you know it's all controlled by the same people. But anyway, guys, yeah. So that's where I was talking about the 40 years. But it's really interesting you talk about the remote viewers for the CIA, because this is going to be wild. But I've got the so the CIA back in what was it like this? I think it started in 1951. I may be wrong with this, guys. I may be totally wrong. But basically, it was something called MK Ultra, and they did a lot of they gave a lot of people LSD. It was really bad. They did some electric shock therapy. It was absolutely terrifying. But what they did is they did something called remote viewing, which is where somebody, and there was a guy called Carl, was he Targ or something? That there was Ingo Swann and Targ, and those are the guys that come to my mind. What they could do, they could project themselves. And guys, you know, there's lots of videos on this. You tell me what you make of it. The remote viewers could then project themselves into another random location anywhere in the world. And they said they could go on different planets and stuff and all over the world. But what I've managed to get, and they did that, they did a lot of meditation with a company called the Monroe Institute. Now, the Monroe Institute released it was on tape back then, released some audio tapes called The Gateway Experience. I've managed to get myself a copy of The Gateway Experience, and I've started doing these meditations, and they do lead up to remote viewing. So I'm trying to work through these meditations. I know it's wild, you know, but I'm trying to work through them. It's really difficult, because where I thought, you know, meditation would be just plinkety, 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 you really have to go through some thought, train yourself and train your thought processes. But it is really wild. And I'm not going to say that people can actually see through walls and stuff, but it certainly is weird when you start looking into the vast amounts of science that went into it. But anyway, sorry for going on a tangent, guys. Hope everybody is well, and hope everybody is good. Right, Simply Emma's put no TikTok live. Yeah, so at Love Pet. Right, I don't know what this means. Simply Emma at Love Pet Friends, and other channel Millie 85. I don't know what that means. No TikTok live, but we're only going to do the TikTok live. I think the double streaming on a Friday, and then So on a Friday we're going to stream. We're going to double stream on a Friday. Monday to Friday in the morning we're going to do the other platform streaming, and then in the evening we're going to try and do this streaming. Yeah, no elections during war. I think we're talking about war times, or unless we're talking about ear times. I don't know. I mean, ear times. Are we going to go with ear time? No, I know what you mean. No elections in wartime. So that could be, that could be a real thing. If you look what's happened in Ukraine, there's been no elections in Ukraine. Zelensky's been in charge, and there's been no elections. So it's just wild thing after wild thing happening all over the world. So anyway, guys, what I'm going to go on to now is this. Can you remember, like, let me get this one up. Can you remember a couple of, like, what was it? A couple of months ago or something, the government in the United Kingdom, they just totally randomly, not connected to any wars, not connected to any conflicts, not connected to any civil conflicts, not connected to any civil disobedience, rioting, protesting. All of a sudden, the government in the UK just decided that everybody needed to have a survival kit, a survival plan. So I'm going to go onto the share screen now, guys, and I'm going to just talk through a few of these things and just give a couple points. And then at the end, if you guys have got any questions on it, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But this is from, official UK government sources. And obviously, I'll put all these links in the description. So this is it, UK government website. Get prepared for emergencies. Emergencies happen every day, blah, 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 across the world. Simple and effective steps. So make a plan. I've done lots of videos about making plans, and we should also make plans. What I would say with that, you need triggers to make a plan. It's all right saying, yeah, we're going to sit down and we're going to make a plan. It'll never happen, all right? People will laugh at you. People will joke at you, especially if you've got one of these, like a denial family, people who are in cognitive dissonance. But what you need to do is you need to say, right, mum, dad, auntie, uncle, brother, sister, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, dog, cat, hamster, whatever. You need to say, okay, if X, Y, and Z happens, do you think we should sit down and make a plan? Because that's kind of a precursor to making a plan. Because, getting people to sit down and make a plan when they don't believe things are going to happen, it's very difficult. And when you're making a plan, everybody needs to be involved in making that plan. Otherwise, it's pointless. Equally, if everybody's involved in making that plan, it's everybody's responsibility if the worst happens and that plan does go wrong. Kind of like a slopey shoulders thing. Prepare your home. And I don't think this means like sandbags and lead lining on your roof. Well, I think what they're just talking about is basic security, basic, fire awareness. Do you live in a block of flats? Do you know the best way out of that block of flats? Do your kids know the best way out of that block of flats? For example, if I'm just making this up, if you lived in a block of flats right now and smoke started pummeling in through the doors, do you know what to do? Have you even thought about it? And guys, do your kids know what to do? Because there's nothing worse than being in one of these situations and you're panicking because you don't know what to do. You're running around like a headless chicken, and then you're thinking about your kids as well because you won't think straight. So think about it now. Think about what to do. Think about, possible scenarios. Equally, if you don't live in a block of flats, it's pointless talking about what to do if there's a fire in a block of flats because it's not gonna happen. Think about the most likely thing to happen. For us, it's wind damage. We live on the top of a hill. It's absolutely horrific in the winter. In the storm season, I'm constantly on the roof with bits of bitumen, bits of felt, making repairs. Like I said, I've got a tin roof on here. It's actually been good the last few years. But so I know what the most likely things to happen in my home are. So we're prepared. We've got spare tools. We've got spare roof repair equipment. We've got spare timber, screws, nuts, nails, bolts, all the stuff that we need if it happens and we need to make a repair, which is usually a couple each year. Talk to others. This is key, because code independence it really is codependence. Like, for example, my dad's got a van, so I'm more independent asking my dad to borrow his van. Likewise, he's a bit rubbish when it comes to roofing. So if he needs a roof repair, I'll go and help his, so you know what I mean? We need to build a community, a support community. Maybe that's an online community where people are sharing resources, PDFs, books, sharing book recommendations, websites, tutorials. We live in a world of YouTube. And there is nothing that you can't do by watching a few tutorials on YouTube. I will stand by that. I reckon the first homemade nuclear bomb will be from tutorials on watching YouTube. Get emergency supplies. We always talk about this on this channel, emergency supplies. Just the main thing I always talk about is water. Always just make sure you've got enough water. 3 liters of water per person per day. Just make sure you have it somewhere, because just without any catastrophes, we're going to have a water shortage. For those of you who watched the video, in fact, I'll do water after this, guys, but I'll read you the message I got from my friend in Ukraine, and they were talking about the water system in Ukraine. They don't know what it is. There's a virus going around. So what I would say, at some point, water will be weaponized. It's not difficult to get up close to our reservoirs. It's not difficult to get close to standpipes, to pumping stations, to sewage works. It's easy to contaminate our water supply. It really is. And once that happens, I can guarantee you'll wish you had, you at least have 3 liters of water per person per day. So then they put together a kit list. I'm not going to go into everything here. What I will say, the main important things here are the, where is it? Radio? Have we got radio? Yeah. Wind up radio. Guys, if you can get a wind up, we've got some on our other platform, on our little showcase, but if you can get a wind up radio anywhere, those things are like hen's teeth. Absolutely brilliant. As for you guys, as the internet went down in our house, and I was just sat there and I was thinking, you know what, if the internet goes down again, and then the internet goes off, the TV goes, you would literally be in a communications black hole, and anything could be happening all over the world. And how would you know about it? You wouldn't know about it. So those little radios, if you can get a wind-up one, that's like gold standard. I think the ones we have on our in our little showcase, they're wind-up, and there's a torch, and you can also you can also use the battery as like charge your phone. But it's the wind-up thing that's key. Try and get yourselves one of those wind-up radios. Get the cheapest one, put it under your sink, put it in a cupboard. Just forget about it. Just use that as an investment. That's the only, of course, there's loads of stuff you could get. But for me, communications, that's going to be the key one. Because if there's, a mass disaster, or, even think about these, what was it, last month, August, when there was these riots. Can you imagine being on one of those housing estates, not being able to leave your house for a couple of days, like some people were? They were stuck in their houses. And, you've got these gangs of marauding people on the streets. And depending on what skin color you've got, they're going to beat you up or worse. And so you've got to stay in your house. That's the reality that we live in right now in the United Kingdom. So these are the things you have to also consider, without thinking about, big bad Putin throwing a Kinzhal missile over the channel. We've got to think about all these other complexities that we have living in, I guess, modern Britain, if that's what you want to call it. So I'll read you this message now. I've not done it before because I've been relatively busy, but I'm going to read you the message now that I got from my friend in Ukraine. Hang on. Where are we? I might have, no, there it is. Right. So I'm just gonna read you this, guys. I'm just gonna read you what it says. And then there's nothing out, guys. I can't find anything on mainstream media to corroborate, to confirm this. I've spoken to several people in Ukraine, and they've all said yes, this is happening, but I can't find anything on the mainstream. So what I'll have to do, I'll have to caveat this and say I don't know if this is true, but you tell me what you think. We just had an infectious disease. We just had an infectious disease specialist here. A virus that we're not allowed to name wasn't confirmed, but I feel it's necessary to share this information she left me to consider. According to her, she and her colleagues have been seeing similar symptoms since around July. No one is talking about an epidemic yet, but the sporadic outbreaks follow a suspiciously consistent pattern. They conclude that we might be contracting some sort of virus or another category of virus that affects the gastrointestinal tract through the water. How many times have I said the water systems are going to be weaponized? What we could be seeing, and I'm not saying this is happening, this could be something benign, it could be something, it could be something innocent. I genuinely don't know. But what we can see is there's something in the water in Ukraine, allegedly, and not related to contaminations in the Desna River. So there's the River Dnipro and there's the Desna River. She claims that it's not enough to just drink bottled water. Even brushing your teeth or washing fruit should be done with boiled and filtered water. So although it's unofficial, infectious disease specialists suspect that tap water might pose a risk. I've shared this with you. We're undergoing treatment and wishing everybody good health. So what you can see there, guys, is it looks like, and I don't know if this is the case, I don't know what to make of it. There's nothing on the mainstream. This is just what I'm hearing. That there's a problem with the tap water in Ukraine. Now, I don't know. I don't want to. This could be a lot of things. It could be, a missile could have hit a power station that was supplying power to a sewage works. That sewage works it's not been working on full capacity, and the sewage has leaked into the water system somehow. Equally, it could be, and again, it's me speculating, it could be an act of sabotage where somebody's gone in and poured a load of barrels of whatever into the water supply or something. And the reason I'm saying this is because the water supply is so critical. It's so critical. And right now, you, me, everyone can go down to the supermarket and we can buy bottles of water for like a few pence. If you get those like no frills, like generic bottles of water, they're really cheap. We can go down there and buy them. Can you imagine right now, if it came on mainstream media, if this was the next headline, UK water supply sabotaged, UK water supply poisoned. Can you imagine how quickly those bottles of water would just vanish? And do you know where they go? 95% of those water bottles would go to the staff who worked there. Think about it. You're not going to turn up to work and give people water when your children need it. Of course not. Supply and demand. This is what's going to happen. So I always say it, guys. I always harp on about water. Just if you don't listen to anything else, go and get yourself a few bottles of water. Keep them stored in a cool, dry place. It will be fine. It'll be good for a long time, because at some point, as we've just potentially seen in Ukraine, this could really be weaponized. And it makes sense to weaponize the water. It makes sense to do these easy attacks where you can, a criminal gang could attack our water supply in the United Kingdom, and we would never be able to pin that on the Russians. We'd never be able to pin that on the Chinese, on the North Koreans, on the Iranians. It'd just be a criminal attack. That's the reality of it. So we'd never be able to retaliate to those guys. And that's why these things will happen, because of the deniability, because of the ease, because of the cost effectiveness of that. Anyway, guys, what am I going to hang on? Where are we going next? What have we got next? We've got Russia and the United States are now. So, and again, this article is about the nuclear testing. And those of you who've been watching this channel, I say that before a nuclear exchange, a hostile nuclear exchange, you would see each side conducting nuclear tests. And it's not to rattle the saber. It's to, it's confirmation. It's confirmation that both sides can still do it because of the technicalities. Well, it's come out now in an article published on the 25th of September, so like 4 days ago or whatever, that Russia sent the US a message saying, we won't do any nuclear testing as long as you guys don't. So what that says to me is that both sides are thinking about it. Both sides are looking at doing it. And the fact that we've got this now in the mainstream, it kind of says a lot. So I don't see this as a good sign. I see this as the first sign of nuclear testing, because maybe it's the Americans who start testing first. And then the Russians say, well, we told you we would not test, but you have decided to make nuclear tests. So we will do nuclear tests too. Sergey, bring the uranium, or some mad stuff like that. It's absolutely insane. So I think this is the first step towards nuclear testing, and nuclear testing is the first step towards a nuclear exchange. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're a way off it, but we are getting closer. What else is there? Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland, they're asking for more money to beef up the border with Russia. Those Baltic states, they all know what's coming. And we sit here in the United Kingdom really protected, really sheltered, thinking nothing can hit us. But if you go out there and you speak to Polish people who live near the border, if you speak to Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians, Romanians, they all understand that why would Vladimir Putin stop now? He knows that his economy is at the strongest, like we said at the beginning. The Russian economy is the strongest it's been. So they want to keep that economy going. They're just going to keep pushing, and we don't have the capacity in the West we don't have the capacity in the West to fight a war of attrition with the Russians. We don't have the numbers. We don't have the birth rate. We don't have the population. Of course, and that's what we're going to find out pretty soon, is better than more. Is more sophisticated. Does more sophisticated beat brute force and mass? That's the ultimate question. What else have we got? Oh yeah, so this is insane again. UK intelligence say that the Ukrainian strikes on Russia's ammunition depots will cause supply issues for Russian forces. This is kind of like the global warming argument. If I go and kick a ball in a hurricane, I have essentially altered the course of that hurricane in a ridiculously minute way. I have, in the sense that these ammunition depots that have gone up by that have exploded by these Ukrainian claimed drone strikes. Yes, of course they will affect the Russian supply chain in some way, but we've got to understand the vastness of Russia. It's just huge, and they can keep pushing this stuff. A lot of these munitions are made in people's garages, in people's small workshops. They can be built anywhere. So whereas us in the United Kingdom, in the West, all our stuff, it's built by Lockheed Martin in the best factories with all the health and safety equipment, and all the staff are well paid, and they go on breaks every 4 hours or whatever it is, and they've got all the best welfare. That is all well and good in times of peace, but you know what? In times of war, that is quite possibly the worst way we can do it, because that's the system how we build our munitions, and the system that the Russians build it, they just get it out there. They get it out there quick. They have anybody building it. Anybody can mess with explosives. Anybody can mess with detonators, munitions, whatever. So whereas in Russia, you've got everybody as the part of the military industrial complex. Here in the United Kingdom, you go and try and work for a military air defense contractor. You've got to be secret cleared, which takes time, it costs. You've got to jump through a load of red tape. You've got to do cybersecurity courses, all this stuff. It's just red tape and bureaucracy that is ultimately going to be our downfall. And let me do this other one, guys. I was talking about the fall of the Roman Empire, and I've got an AI now on my phone. Hang on. Let me just really quickly do this. So I've got an AI on my phone, and I'm totally against AI, but God, is it convenient. So I asked the AI why the Roman Empire fell. I probably shouldn't have told you that. I probably should have just told you, read you what it said, and then say Does this sound familiar? So this is why I asked the AI why the Roman Empire fell. So it gave me 1, 2, 3, 4. It gave me 5 bullet points. Invasions. The empire, the Roman Empire, was under constant threat from Germanic tribes such as the Goths and Visigoths, who invaded and sacked Rome several times. The empire's military struggled, to maintain its borders. And the foreign mercenaries who were recruited to fight were often disloyal. Does that sound like we're getting towards that stage? Internal corruption. You couldn't make it up, could you? We are no better than the Romans. Internal corruption. The Senate was corrupt and unable to control the excesses of the emperors. We are literally having the same thing right now in 2024. The Praetorian Guard, the emperor's bodyguard, used their power to promote or kill would-be emperors. Look, we don't have that, but I would say that you could draw analogies between the civil service, behind the scenes promoting or, pushing people forwards and, pushing other people to the side. Civil war. The empire was weakened by civil war, which saw dozens of emperors come and go. We've got this on our streets right now. We've got us and them, black and white, red and blue, men and women, gay and straight, all sorts of dividing lines. It's insane. So this is where we're getting, the civil wars coming from. Economic problems. Government corruption led to inflation, disease, and starvation. How many times on this channel have I talked about the food crisis that's coming? How many times have I talked about we've got farmers in the fields, like literally, if it was daylight, you'd probably be able to see them planting purple flowers in the fields now, and they're not planting food. That can't be good for farmers. Climatic changes. Volcanic eruptions may have contributed to the fall of the empire. So, you could say that the climatic changes in the West, whereby we're not able to grow food anymore, these are all contributing factors. But guys, doesn't that sound familiar, what I've just read there from AI? It's literally like we're going through these cycles of history repeating itself over and over again. And it seems like every time we're just going through the same cycle all the time, and nobody gets wiser. It's just same cycles. Anyway, guys, right, I'm on to the questions now, because I've just realized, right, I've not even covered my topics. Let me see if I can run through a few more. Right, okay. I'm going to share this one with you because it is key. It's just a picture of it. I think it's it's a MiG-30. I want to say, I don't know which MiG it is actually. We'll have a look at it. MiG-31. So that's a MiG-31. That's what the Russians are rolling with. But this thing under here, guys, this is a Kinzhal missile. And these are the air launch systems. Now, these can be nuclear tipped. So this is how the Russians would potentially launch a nuclear weapon off the bottom of one of these things. And if you've been following my channel, you'll know that these air launch systems are key, because you don't need to occupy the ground you're launching from. You can literally fly that anywhere, and that's your launch pad. Like the F-16s when they'll be air launching the Storm Shadows or whatever else they're using. It's a mobile launch pad for these long-range missiles. So, did Ukraine lose more F-16 fighters? Did Ukraine lose more F-16 fighter aircraft in Thursday's missile attack? So this is key, this phrase here. So remember how and again, I'm just speculating here. I don't know I've got no inside information on this, and I genuinely don't know. But if we're saying that they lost more F-16 fighters, and it doesn't matter whether they did or they're not, the fact that nobody's denying that the F-16 fighters were involved, F-16 fighters launched Storm Shadow missiles from the bottom of them. So could Storm Shadow missiles have already been used to take out these aircraft carriers, to take out these ammunition dumps? Or is the Ukrainian system is the Ukrainian long-range weapon system, is that also air-launched? We don't know. So it's just an interesting little, an interesting little aspect of these conflicts. It's always the information that's not shown, or the information that's not denied, or the information that's assumed, that you can pick up things from. Like I said, everything is out there and everything is in the open. Right, I'm going to go down. I want to ask something. If anyone knows, why do they attack more at night? Is it vulnerability? Yeah. So night attacks, most people are asleep. It's harder to organize in the night because it's dark, and you just have the advantage. Normally, Western militaries will attack at night because they have the advantage of night vision goggles, thermal scopes. A lot of the aircraft carriers. What is it with me and aircraft carriers? There might be some of that CIA programming off that what we do call it, Monroe Institute. There might be an aircraft carrier sunk at some point. Yeah, basically it's night. Things are a lot more difficult to control at night. You can imagine 50 guys in a woods at night time. It's very hard to see them. It's hard to control them. It's hard to get people set up, move left and right. You put night vision goggles on them, it's a lot easier. So technology, basically. And also, people are asleep at night. It's, if you're trying to phone somebody up for assistance, it's harder to get them. You normally have the advantage at night time. And as well, what you'll find is some attacks will start at the very last light. So what you can do is, if you don't have, for whatever reasons, whether it's a lack in training, a lack in technology, what you can do, you can move your guys right up to the limit of start line, to a start line at the start of an attack. You can then start right at the break of dawn, because then you get all the advantages of the night attack, but you don't get none of the drawbacks by being in the night attack. So you're still catching people asleep. You're still catching people, off duty, that shouldn't potentially be off duty. People asleep when they shouldn't be asleep. You're catching all those people off guard, but still you're getting those daylight hours. What else have we got? Pineapple says hello Pineapple. What else have we got? Yeah, sound is nice. Guys, there is loads of questions here, right? From Emma. Sad went recently back to Manchester 13s. It was, yeah, I know a lot of people who are going back to hometowns from, like, if they've been in the military and they've moved away and they're going back to their hometowns, and they're just not recognizing the hometowns that they grew up in. They're not recognizing the places that they live. The high streets have changed. Everything's changed. And you understand, I mean, the main thing that people fear is change. It's literally the only thing you could argue in some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? You could argue that the only real thing you fear is change. Don't know if you talked about this, but you heard about speculation on aliens on the way to seen by the... No, I have not heard about aliens on the way from James Webb Space Telescope, but I will look into it and I'll do an aliens video tomorrow. Thank you. What else have we got? Kenzie, late to the party. How is everyone? Everyone's good, Kenzie. There were so many messages. I had to go and have a fight with a spider. My little girl was being sassy. I had to, she couldn't open the door. I literally jumped in this chair as I had 1 second and I had to hit go. Hi, Raven. With America pulling away to concentrate on the conflict with Iran and Russia, bogged down with Ukraine. How will you? Yeah. So I think we mentioned this. The Russians. It's going to be a slog. The Russians have the birth rate to keep this going, and the Russians. So the West. It's when you see it, like you get these NATO generals talking about. The Russia wouldn't last 3 days in a war against NATO. Okay, right, okay. What we're talking about is a war of industry, a war of attrition, and a 40-year war. In a 40-year war, you're looking at kids who will be fighting in that war who are not even born when the war starts. That's how wild it is. So the Russians have the numbers, the human resources, the capacity to make that happen. We don't have that in the West. We really don't have that. So the EU, the United Kingdom, whatever's left of NATO in that region, they would want they would want it over quickly. The Russians would want to delay it. That's why that I feel the Russians, it's their best option, and it's the smartest option as well, to use sabotage, to use non-conventional warfare. So all the time they can say, hey, listen, we're not even involved in this war. You guys have just got criminals in your land. Yeah, so I did a video. So with this, guys, if the UK is forced to back basically an attack on the Falklands, Argentina, I think this is coming. I really do. I honestly, I think it's coming. The amount of oil that's down there, the rhetoric from the Argentinians, the rhetoric from the Russians saying that they're going to give people long-range missile systems. And, you know, people were saying, oh, it doesn't matter if they've got long-range missile systems. They only go 250 miles and Argentina's 400 miles off the coast. That's all well and good. What about the air-launched long-range missiles? So what you could have is a situation where the Argentinian pilot would be just flying around the Falklands, out of radar, out of air defense range, and firing these long-range cruise missiles in to take out the air defenses, soften the targets up, and then move in. So I don't even think I answered the question there. If the UK is forced to back out due to an attack on the Falklands, right? Okay, I think the UK would be able to. Remember, the UK would not be providing. The United Kingdom wouldn't be providing the meat of the troops in eastern Ukraine. They would be providing more of the command and control, the projection capacity. So I think there'll be plenty left to go down to the Falklands. And again, for the United Kingdom, the Falklands should be the main intent because of the amount of money. I'm at an age now where I think, forget all your politics. It makes more sense to me anyway to just be honest and say, listen, guys, we're going to have this war because we want your oil. It makes more, at least be honest about it, because that's what it is anyway. Well, guys, there are so many comments. No, I have not seen those. I've not seen any pictures of the tanks or anything. But what I will say, like I've said before, I don't see the Israelis having the capacity to I don't see them having the manpower to go into Lebanon unless they do the same tactics that they did in Gaza, which is just absolutely brutal. They destroy a building, then they bulldoze it, and then they move forwards. With those tactics, what you can guarantee, if there's images of that coming out, what you can pretty much guarantee is unification of the Islamic world in that region, and we're talking, biblical end day stuff happening. What else have we got? Right, guys, I'm just going through your comments because there's a lot of wild guys. What is my best food? Right, okay, so Pineapple's put a message on here, guys, about I think this is in regards to what we were saying about getting food, non-perishable food, getting yourself some items in your home. What I'd say to that is, obviously, I don't know where Pineapple's from, although I'm sure it's a lovely place. What I'll say is, speak to your restaurateurs, speak to people who sell food, because they will know where the cheapest capitalism. They will know where the cheapest, best quality food is. That's always a good place to start. Have a look for like local cash and carries, whatever. Don't go to your main supermarkets because they are absolutely disgusting. I went to I went to Tesco's the other day. I stormed in. I stormed in. I went. It was raining, so I stormed through the door. I went in. I wanted some orange juice. I picked the orange juice up. It said like £2 for the thing. I thought, right, okay, it's a bit steep, but whatever. I'll pay for it because I was in a rush. So I went to the checkout. Anyway, I had to wait for the woman to come because I only had cash. I gave it her. She scanned it. She said $3.50. I said, what? She said it's $3.50. I said, it says £2 on it. She says, that's only for club card members. I said, you know what? I'm good. Just keep it. Go put it back on the shelf. I'm good. So yeah, make sure you try and find where the restaurants go. It's just a little tip, because wherever the restaurants go, they will want to maximize their profit margin. So they will want to get the cheapest food the cheapest best food for the best price. What else have we got? Evening, Tim. Evening, Sean. What do we think about the flat? No, the Earth's not flat. It's not flat. I'm not even going down that road. Tim, put me a link somewhere to something that like an actual like something where people like other than people getting like water and pouring it on the floor and saying, "Look, the water's not moving." I've not seen any evidence that the Earth's flat. I filter my water. KK filters their own water. Good. Danny Walker. Okay, I heard that as well. We're talking, guys. I love it that you're talking about aliens in the comments. I'm really impressed. I wonder why it's changed the acronym. They changed the acronym. Right. There's a lot of stuff about it, guys. I'll do a video on aliens. We're on the edge of a global catastrophe of industrial scale. Maybe the aliens will come and save us. I genuinely don't know. What have we got here? Don't with the aliens. I dreamt about this last night, guys. We're under attack. I woke up this morning believing it for ages. Right, I think we've watched that film. I watched that. Is it The Day After Tomorrow? No, it's Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise. War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. Guys, that thing is absolutely terrifying, because like when the aliens come on that movie, we've got no defense for the aliens, and it's just all going absolutely wild. We're dropping, we have no response to them. We're firing our best weapons at them, and it's kind of gritty and it's real. And it goes through, and Tom Cruise is not like the traditional protagonist. So I do like that film. Right, what else have we got? We got Queer Stormer before World War III. Guys, there's something about this Labour Party, and I don't know what it is. That's the rumour that Keir Starmer's gay. I mean, I've actually seen him hitting a punch bag. And again, maybe because I've always been around guys who do boxing, kickboxing, martial arts and stuff, I mean, I've seen him hit a punch bag, and if I saw him hit a punch bag and I was asked whether he's gay or straight, I would say he's gay. But, so what? As long as he does his job, I don't think anybody's bothered about his sexuality. It's the fact that he's not doing his job. He's turned into a dictator. And what did I say? If you've just joined us, guys, one of the things I said earlier was, hang on, yeah. The state, this is from Keir Starmer, guys, right? The state will take back, and I'm reading this off the Telegraph. I'll put all these links in the description. The state will take back control of people's lives, says Starmer. Again, I just want to be in control of my own life. Am I not trusted to be in control of my own life? Do we need Keir Starmer and his infinite wisdom and his fancy suits to come and tell me to take control of my life? Thank you very much, but you know what? I'm good as I am. Thank you. So yeah, so that's we just got an insane time at the moment. Gaza is a graveyard now. Yeah, Gaza is a graveyard. It's. I mean, what people don't understand is so Gaza is a graveyard now. How haven't they claimed Gaza yet? So I think Gaza was the most densely populated place on Earth. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. That many people, like the Russians have got, when you're talking about that much people power, it's hard to deal with it. You can't just, you can't do things conventionally like you would in a conventional warfare. So, and whether you think that this going in, taking out a building, bulldozing it's the right way, whether you think you should have done dynamic entry to each building, cleared those blocks street by street, and then just had no-go zones, doesn't matter. What matters is what we can take from this. And what we can take from this is, doesn't matter the size of your relative military. When you're dealing with a lot of people and people in the millions, it's very hard to deal with. It's very hard to conceptualize as well. What else have we got? I literally checked my camera roll because I thought I'd taken pictures of them attacking us. Lorraine, you are having some wild dreams. Aliens are demons and they do attack you. Wow, this is powerful. Aliens are demons and they do attack at night in your dreams. So I don't know if you got onto the beginning of this video, but one of the early comments, in fact, let me see if I can get the comment. If I won't, because there's loads of comments, guys, I'll lose it. But one of the comments was that the something about the CIA couldn't, one of their remote viewers couldn't see any further forwards than 2034 or something. And I started saying, hey, well, you know what? I've actually got the meditation that the CIA used through the process called, the company called Monroe Institute. It's called, what's it called? The Gateway Season or Gateway something. Anyway, and it's basically a set of meditation tapes. And I thought when I got onto these meditation tapes, it were going to be really easy. And I was just going to listen to some plinkety plonkety music and, you know, think about waterfalls. But wow, it's like really hard work. And you have to start like doing mad things with your thought processes. So, you know, maybe they are in our dreams. I don't know. It's certainly something that a lot of people are exploring. But I think the funniest way that as I understand it, that how this whole CIA thing came about, and I think this is how the story goes. It was like at the end of the Second World War, and there was it was basically the start of the Cold War, and the United States knew that their communications were getting intercepted by the Russians. So the Americans, started to send fake reports, knowing that the Russians had intercepted. And one of the reports was, you know, something like, so the Russians would think that the Americans had a psychic program, and they had a psychic spies and a psychic telekinesis program. So the Russians would intercept it. Anyway, so as the story goes, the Russians intercepted it. And I don't know if this is true, obviously, I wasn't there. And the Russians intercepted it. Then the Russians were like, oh, the Americans have got a psychic program. Quick, we need our own psychic program. So then they built their own the Russians built their own psychic program. And then the Americans found out that the Russians had their own psychic institute. So the Americans then said, well, we can't let the Russians get in front of us with psychic research. So the Americans had to build their own psychic. Anyway, it's wild. It's one of those wild things. But yeah, I don't know what's happening, but I'll try and get to the bottom of it, as I always do. Right, guys, stop talking about being probed in the comments. Let's try and keep it clean. If aliens are real, I wonder what they think of us. You know, what I always like when I'm talking to my little girl, I'll say to her, I say, right, if she's done something, I'm trying to explain it to her. I say, right, if an alien comes down now and we try to explain to them what this is, how would you explain it? And you know what you would think if the aliens were looking at us, they would think like if the aliens were looking at the United Kingdom right now, they would think that violent crime is okay because you get let out early. You know, all this bad stuff that I'm not going to mention here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. All this stuff, you get let out of prison early, but writing hurting words online, that's bad. So by de facto, the aliens must think that's what we're all about. We are, you know, we're a civilization that just polices hurting words. Anyway, guys, I am sausages. Tell them sausages. Guys, I'm going to go now. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so Sharon's just put something about VR headsets. Yeah, VR scares me. VR and augmented reality, it really does scare me. We'll talk about that more. Guys, thank you so much for tonight. You guys have been fantastic. I didn't even get to, I've got like 4 more tabs open. I can't do them. It's school night tomorrow. I've got to go. I've got to iron some t-shirts, do my dad business. But like I said, you guys have been fantastic. I'm going to go. We'll be back live again tomorrow. Don't forget to like and share all my stuff. I really like it when you guys do that. Once this video has uploaded, I will put that onto the I'll put that onto the onto YouTube, and then I'll have the links. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it any other way. So if you're gonna have a look at any of these links I've shared or talked about, and you want to look at them for yourselves, I'll, especially the prepping list. I'll put the prepping list actually at the top. I'll put this on, but it might take like half an hour or an hour before that uploads. Anyway, guys, you guys have been fantastic. Lorraine, AI scares me as well. It terrifies me. It should terrify everyone. Stop keeping me. Right, guys, I've got to go. I'm going to back to grid. I'll get you guys some more videos tomorrow. I'll be live again tomorrow night.